Hi, and welcome to this installment of Frank and Mary here in Southborough. If you haven't seen this show before, my name is Art Bergeron. My day job, I do elder law at a firm called Myrick O'Connell up the street in Westborough, but this is not about law, it's about Frank and Mary. You see my presentations at the Southborough Senior Center. You know that Frank and Mary's goal in life is to live in their house until they die and be buried in the backyard. And if they're in Southborough, that means here. And so I have gotten my wonderful co-host, Doug Peck, who lives here in Southborough and runs this wonderful business called Seniors Helping Seniors, because he seems to know everybody, but we both know our major guest today. So Doug, do you want to introduce our guest who can introduce all of her friends that she's brought with her?
Yes, and I think a lot of viewers will know them as well, but it was really important, I think, for everybody to know what's going on at the Senior Center. So let me introduce Pam, the director of the Senior Center, who will tell us a little bit what's going on and then introduce the rest of the staff.
Hi, it's good to, I wish I could see everybody. So we at least wanted to come and say hello and let everybody see us and let the seniors that come to the Senior Center all the time know that we're still there for them and just to say hello. I want to introduce Peg Leonard. She's our program manager. We have Leslie Chamberlin, our nurse, and Cindy Beard, our outreach coordinator. And what's going on at the Senior Center, I guess, is a challenge to answer that question right now. At this point, there is no staff in the building. We are accessible by phone. If you call the Senior Center, you will get a message, so please leave us a message. The messages automatically go directly to our email, and we will call you back. So don't be shy, give us a call. We're still there for you. We're still working. Actually, I think we're working harder than we ever have to make sure everybody's taken care of. And we make plans and then we remake plans, and we have contingency plans based on everything that's changing right now.
Good. We'll come back and let you wrap up at the end then.
Okay.
Pam,
That's a great broad summary, Pam. And I know that one of the things that you've said that you're doing regularly is just reaching out to the seniors, reaching out to the folks that you know. And can you just could you just talk a little bit about that and about what the response is that you found and kind of where your
Sure.
sense is that people are now, as you know, we've gone through this for a couple of months now and things are kind of opening up a little bit?
Sure. We did the very best we could to reach out one way or another to every senior in town. We recently did a town-wide mailing with Youth and Family Services information and other resources, food pantry information. So that went to every household in town, so people know where to reach out if they need assistance. Prior to that, we spent a lot of time on the phone. Lorraine and Peg and I and Cindy and Leslie, we've all reached out to everybody that we had phone numbers for. So we probably made, I don't know, Peg, 500 or 600 phone calls.
Yes.
So we tried to get everybody that way. If you didn't get a call, that probably means we don't have your phone number. So if that's something that you're interested in providing to us, either call us and leave us a message, or in our next newsletter, we're going to put a form in there that you can get back to us to make sure we have updated information if you choose to give that to us. So we've reached out by mail, by phone, and then we have seniors that Cindy reaches out to on a weekly basis, just to make sure that people don't need anything. They have specific circumstances that we check on. So there's been a lot of communication back and forth. And Peg can talk a little bit more. There's a newsletter is going to come out. Peg, about when is that happening?
Hopefully it'll be received by the end of June, first week in July. And what we're going to do in July is just hold a few programs that were already scheduled and had to be canceled, so that the seniors won't see any programs in July, the month of July, but we will be running them. There'll be a few drive-by, but they will be programs that people already signed up for. So we're going to just do like a trial basis of how to work this way with a drive-through or virtual or on that type of thing. But again, it's for the people that already signed up. August, we will have new programs. We'll have Attorney Arthur Bergeron coming in, doing a few seminars, legal seminars that also got canceled. He's going to do a phone legal advice, couple of hours once a month now. That will be in August. We will be doing a few cable programs that I'm working with Terry on. Still not quite 100% scheduled yet, but there will be now things in August that will people will be open to all. The Del Men have been doing things which Pam might mention in a little while. Songsters is still kind of doing a little Zoom sing-alongs. I'm going to be talking with them to see if we can make that happen more often. We have a garden group still working on the garden beds in the back. Trailblazers are still doing their little get-togethers and hikes and things on their own. And we also have a walk challenge that will be in this newsletter as well. Trying to think, I think we will be talking to our Tai Chi and yoga teachers about possibly doing those classes on the lawn with social distancing. I think that's pretty much it right now. If I think of anything else, I'll come back on.
At
Have
this
you been
point,
doing any?
We miss you all terribly, so I just wanted to say that as well.
Have you been doing any Zoom Tai Chi or yoga or anything like that? Have they been on Zoom or?
Yeah, I've been looking into Zoom. We have a couple of logistics we need to do. In that form that Pam was talking about, we need to get everybody's email, and we don't have that. So one of the programs you'll see in August that'll be on cable, that I was trying to get on a Zoom because it's a nice interactive. But I think going forward in September, I think I'll have it all together. So we'll get some Zoom classes or seminars in there.
Okay.
So we're just doing cable and on the lawn kind of things right now. So we'll get there.
we're trying to take advantage of, while we have nice weather, doing some things outside, or the possibility of doing things outside. We're taking our cues from the local Board of Health and the state guidelines as far as when we can do things. At this point, like I said, we're not even in the building at this point. So it's, I think they're taking a cautious approach, with safety being the priority for participants and the staff. So at this point, we may be moving just staff in, or partial staff, and partially working from home until the state, gives us the okay, and the local Board of Health gives us the okay to move forward with the events that we can do outside. So we're kind of waiting on that. We did all the planning, everything's prepped and ready to go, but we're still on hold for the moment as far as those kinds of things. But we wanted to assure you that, we are going to have some programs, and we're going to try to be as creative as we were when we didn't have this problem. So it's going to be some fun things.
Well, I know things are in flux. I mean, that's the big challenge, is trying to figure out when. But are you estimating this to be like in August that you might have some of these, or before that?
We have tentative plans, as Peg said, to reboot, or revamp some of the programs that people had already signed up for in the spring that we had to cancel. And so those are planned for July, partly because we did it that way, partly because it's hard to get information out to people if it wasn't in the newsletter.
Mm-hmm.
So that newsletter is kind of going to begin with programming in August. So we're going to go with the assumption that we can do some of these things outside and on the lawn in July. We already have the list of people that have signed up for those events. So we don't have to, advertise them. We can kind of use them as test cases and kind of get the bugs out of the system so they work really well. And then in August, those programs, a lot of them are drive-through type events where you'll come in and, we may do a drive-through picnic or something like that. But we've got a bunch of things scheduled for August, tentatively. We don't know at this point what the future will bring, and, where we'll get the okays to do these things and bring the public in, and how we bring the public in. So at this point, we've got everything kind of penciled in, and we're going to keep it that way until somebody tells us otherwise. And hopefully those things happen.
Oh, good.
Now, Pam, I just wanted to ask Peg, you were talking about the things that are going to happen for the folks who had previously signed up. Can you give us, though, for the benefit of the other folks who hadn't been signing up, what those programs were and how you're thinking of handling them? Because I'm interested in how you're thinking you're going to do that.
Well, we're thinking of the St. Patrick's Day party.
Oh, excuse me. By the way, I also want to say the next time that Pam has a meeting, I think she should go to your house to do it. I think
Nice, yeah.
Well, I keep trying to mute because I can hear the birds. I'm like muting, and then you talk. I'm like, oh, get back on. They're very loud behind me, so I'm not quite sure.
It's a much nicer setting.
You what?
It's a much nicer setting than my bedroom.
It's smaller than it looks. We could fit though. We're thinking of like starting maybe with the St. Patrick's Day party because we had a large group that signed up for that. We may do a meal and get a corned beef cabbage meal and the decorations that we had, like the hat and napkins and a cup, and put it in a little bag and have the people that signed up drive through with a drink, and we'll just maybe have music playing or something. That's one of our thoughts. And then Tina Bemis, who comes all the time and does like a porch pot, we had that scheduled and that got canceled. So we may call those people, and she's going to put them in like a porch pot in a box. And she may do a little YouTube or directions in it. So those are the two things we're thinking of right now is to do as like a trial. And of course, we already have the people. So we want to make sure people know that we're doing that, so they're not thinking something's going on and they didn't hear about. So,
right.
So that's pretty much where we're at right now, initial stages.
But I just wanted to mention that just because I think it's great to be watching the innovation, to be watching. I mean, I know this has all been terrible for all of us, right?
Right.
But it's had us thinking about doing things in other ways that are just really innovative. And it's really exciting that you folks are kind of all, PM, you've always had that, there's always that sense there. Everybody's in it together, right? Yeah. And everybody's really trying to figure this out, And I suppose, to me, it's so important because as you see other stuff opening up, the stuff that people are going to be the most sensitive about opening up are for your folks, for my folks, for your folks, for Doug's folks, for the people who are seniors and who are therefore, as this all goes on, are going to still feel that they're nervous about this stuff. They're nervous, and they're at risk. And so to be giving them real opportunities to do stuff while at the same time being safe, it's really great. It's just great.
Well, Leslie knows best because I'm always asking her, should we do this? Shouldn't we do this? And, we go back and forth on a regular basis discussing when we think we'll be able to do certain things. So Leslie's kind of our resident expert on on the information coming from the state. So maybe she can elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah, well, so as we know, with seniors being a vulnerable population, they'll probably be one of the last to fold in.
Right.
With the hairdressers and the barbershops, they're getting a small roll in now. But most of the calls that I'm receiving, and I wanted to touch on this just as an educational piece, are, if someone doesn't feel well and they call, like they would come and see me before, but they don't feel well, they want to know, at this point, what should they do? Maybe go to an urgent care? Should I go to my doctor? Should I go to the hospital? So I just wanted to kind of outline that if someone's not feeling well, always first call your doctor, unless it's obviously severe chest pain, difficulty breathing, abdominal pain, a severe headache. That would always, right to the emergency room, no question. Those are not things that can be handled in any outpatient setting. But with more minor earache, sprain, that type of rash, you should call your doctor, and if they can accommodate you in their office, that's up to them. If not, the urgent cares are operating very safely, because most of them in this area, like AFC down on Route 20 in Marlborough, they are doing COVID testing and have been for quite a while. So they have a system set up about how to bring people in, keep them safe. So I just wanted to highlight that, that's the type of information that people are asking of me. And in this climate, that's the way to proceed if you're sick.
And you must be talking to folks from, other senior center people, your counterparts, the nurses who are working in other senior centers. Is everybody's kind of rollout or kind of this, are they thinking along the same lines? Because I know my sense is that while there are state guidelines, that the individual town boards of health and the health agents are really having an effect on all of this stuff.
It's definitely at the local level that these decisions are being made. And I did retire from the Board of Health in April, and now the new nurse, Emily Amico, who is our public health nurse for the town of Southborough, she makes those decisions for the local boards of health. Make a decision with the fire chief, who's the emergency manager, carrying the guidelines that have been put out by Department of Public Health. So Emily would listen to, conference calls and Zoom meetings with DPH, and then with those guidelines go forward, because all of the communities have a little bit of a different twist to them. In some communities, you may be able to have the whole Department of Public Works open at the same time because you're not talking about a lot of people. But in a bigger community, you would be staggering them. So those are decisions that Chief Steve Achilles, the fire chief, emergency manager, and Emily make for the town.
So Arthur, I just want to jump in for a minute. I want to make sure Cindy has a chance to talk, because the outreach worker, I know she's busy and things are very different. So Cindy, what have you been seeing from folks or hearing from folks?
I have about a list of about 30-ish seniors that I check in with regularly, either weekly or every other week. And they're on that list because they might be older, isolated, or experiencing some health difficulties. And some of these folks are our caregivers of a loved one who has dementia. So it's these are folks that are already in a stressful situation that I'm checking in with. And it's interesting because a lot of people are saying, I've been isolating. This is nothing new. But there are other people who are, are very concerned about what they're seeing on the news. So my calls are to touch base, to let them know that I'm thinking about them, that the senior center is thinking about them, and to be somewhat reassuring. People sometimes have questions about the town. What is the town doing? What are the recommendations? And so, and to let them know that if there's an issue, we're still helping resolve those problems and issues that come up. It's a little more complicated sometimes working from home, but it's getting done. And like Pam said initially, I think we're working harder now than we ever did. I know I am.
So if people need, for example, emergency food aid, or I also know there's emergency money available, they should still reach out to you folks.
Absolutely. They can call the senior center and leave a message for me, and I get that message and I would call them back. So whatever the concern is, whether it's an adult child who is concerned about their parent, or whether it's someone that's experiencing some financial difficulty, or if it's someone that is unable to do their grocery shopping because they're at risk and they're afraid to go out. Those are all things that we've been tackling.
Oh, good.
That's a
Can I
huge
ask
range.
one other thing?
And it goes back kind of that first comment that Pam made, that the key thing to understand is, though, even though you drive by the senior center and it looks like it's closed, right? It's really not, in that if you're calling in, it's like, it isn't like there's nobody there that's answering calls. Everybody is kind of on top of this stuff, But I was wondering, Cindy, from your perspective, have the nature of the calls changed over these last 2 or 3 months? Because it seems like, I remember 2 months ago, people were just so stressed, and to some extent, it's like that's eased off a little, But I don't know. Once again, because I'm not seeing it regularly. I have this kind of like, so I had my 13th person client die from COVID, right? Like last week. I mean, it's because, well, once again, that's who, it's your people, it's my people, that's who the clients are, right?
Right.
And so I know there are clients that are are really concerned because they know they're at risk, But I was wondering from the perspective, you're reaching out to these folks all the time. How are people changing in the way they're dealing with all of this?
I think people are really adapting and very resilient. And so I have a lot of older folks that when I offer to arrange shopping for them, they're like, I want to get out of the house. I want to do it myself.
Yeah.
Right.
So people are still going to the transfer station, over the Memorial Day holiday. People were still going to the cemetery and putting flowers in. And so finding ways to be out of the house and to feel somewhat normal, but at the same time being safe. We distributed masks to all of the people that are on my vulnerable list of folks, as well as Colonial Gardens, the income-based housing development in Southborough.
Mhm.
So that was one initiative that was organized by a bunch of very involved, helpful volunteers.
Mhm.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah, we'd like to do a shout out thank you to all the people that made the masks, because we were able to cover all the people on Cindy's lists, Colonial Gardens, all the folks at the food pantry, so that was very much appreciated. And another thank you to the CERT team, which operates through the town's emergency management system. They stepped up if people need groceries or they need medication picked up. Those folks, the town had done a great job, because those folks were already in place for emergency situations, whether it be, a snowstorm or a weather-related incident or something like this that we didn't expect. But that made, our job a lot easier, that those volunteers were already trained and in place. And, a big thank you to those people for being there if we need them.
Oh, that's good to know. And if people still need masks?
We have some. We don't
Some?
have a lot
Okay.
at this point. So if
If-
somebody, Leslie, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was going to say, Pam, if people need masks, they should call the Board of Health, or they can call me. I have actually some homemade, very, very nice 100% cotton masks with ties that were donated by a group of ladies in the Westboro area called So We Care, SEW. And then they called all the towns and senior centers and anyone that they could think of to donate. And I have 50 of them, but I can get more. So
Wow.
if people need masks, give us a call, because we also had some donated masks from a parent at Face School early on. And I know that the Board of Health has a cache of those.
That's really
great.
good to know. Can I
So-
put you on
so
the
d-
spot? I just want to
I-
put Leslie on the spot for a minute, if I can.
Sure.
wanted to see-
Actually for 30, you can put her on the spot for 30 seconds, Doug. Because
I'd
then
like
we
to
need-
see if you can come back for 10 minutes next time and talk about testing specifically, just so people really understand what it is and what is available here for people. Would
Yes.
that be possible?
Yes, I would like to, however, reach out to the new public health nurse, Emily Amico, to see if she
Okay.
would join us as well.
Yeah.
That's her area as well.
Okay, that would be great. Thanks,
Sure.
Arthur.
That would be great. And I guess to me, it's just like a big, first of all, Doug, thanks for convincing Pam LeFrancois. This is a big deal. We've been trying to get her on screen for ages,
That was
You
easy.
did it.
That was
See?
that was
Now
easy.
it's easy.
I had to convince
that-
Peg.
But then just a big shout out to this team. I mean, you guys have just been have really stepped up, and been innovative and tried to keep seniors together during a really hard time. And, they count on you, and it's clear why they count on you, so thank you very much.
Yeah.
Doug, thank you very much. Thanks to the folks at Southborough Cable. Thanks very much to Terry Underwood yet again for helping us with all of this. And we will see you on the next installment of Frank and Mary here in Southborough. Thank you very much for watching.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, thank you.